Over in China, it has revealed that it has successfully test-fired an intercontinental ballistic missile that can reach the United States. The announcement of last month's test is seen by many as a show of force against the new Trump administration as tension builds between the world's two superpowers.
China's defense ministry confirmed on Sunday that the country succeeded last month in test launching a new version of an intercontinental ballistic missile. However, the ministry stressed the launch was only for testing purposes, adding that it did not aim at a specific country. The flight test of the Dongfeng 5C missile that can carry up to 10 nuclear warheads was launched from the Taiyuan Space Launch Center in Shanxi province and flew to a desert in western China. Experts say the launch elevates Beijing's nuclear capabilities to the next level as it puts America within its coverage area. The announcement comes amid rising speculation China might construct a new port in the South China Sea. The People's Daily reports that with the possibility for China's second aircraft carrier to be deployed on the South China Sea, it's highly likely a new port will be built in the area. The news comes amid a period of heightened tension between China and the U.S. in the wake of Donald Trump's inauguration as the President of the United States.
The commander of the U.S. Pacific Command has suggested deploying a stealth destroyer to South Korea. According to a South Korean Defense Ministry official on Monday, Admiral Harry Harris made the remark in response to a request from a group of visiting U.S. lawmakers who were asking about the possibility of deploying a strategic asset to the South Korean peninsula to better counter North Korea's threats. Harris suggested deploying a Zumwalt-class destroyer to South Korea's Jeju Island. The ministry official said this was not an official proposal, but said if the Zumwalt were deployed, it would be a great help in countering North Korea's threats.
Focused up north of the border when North Korean leader Kim Jong-un fired the man in charge of his spy agency, as he reportedly did last month. It's likely to add to growing concerns of the elite class of Pyongyang. According to a report by the South's Institute for National Security on Sunday, instability under the Kim Jong-un regime is likely to escalate in the course of time, especially when recently demoted State Security Minister Kim Won-hong was instrumental in executing the young leader's reign of terror intended to solidify his supremacy. And it seems likely the purge will continue. Researchers at the state-run institute added that while such drastic actions may appear effective in reining in the regime's elites, if it continues, it will instill the notion that Kim Jong-un regards even his closest aides as disposable.
Turkish police have detained some 400 suspected members of Islamic State in anti-terror raids, state media said Sunday. At least 60 suspects were detained in the capital Ankara, while 150 were arrested in Sanliurfa province near the Syrian border. Those detained were mainly foreign nationals, an Anadolu news agency said. Ankara says at least 780 people, including 350 foreigners, remain in detention for suspected links to the jihadist group. Turkey launched a military incursion into Syria last August in support of Syrian rebels to try to push Islamic State away from the border area. They have frequently carried out raids on suspected jihadist safe houses in Istanbul and other cities. The Turkish government has stepped up efforts to tackle the militants after the group was blamed for a nightclub attack in Istanbul on New Year's Eve. 39 people, mainly foreigners, were killed in the attack. Turkey has a 900-kilometer border with neighboring Syria, which has become a transit route for would-be jihadists.
The U.S. president has once again denounced Iran's nuclear deal with the P5+1 group of countries.
I think it was the worst deal I've ever seen negotiated. I think it was a deal that should have never been negotiated. Absolutely, the deal that was made by the Obama administration. I think it's a shame that we've had a deal like that and that we had to sign a deal like that, and there was no reason to do it. And if you're going to do it, have a good deal.
In an interview with Fox News, Donald Trump claimed that the historic accord had not been fully enforced. Trump also accused Tehran of sending money and weapons, quote, all over the place. The U.S. president said Iran had, quote, total disregard for America. He further threatened to impose more sanctions on Iran just days after the U.S. Treasury Department announced new anti-Tehran measures following the Islamic Republic's missile test. Trump has on several occasions slammed the nuclear deal and pledged to repeal or renegotiate it.
Head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran says that Tehran continues to increase its stockpiled uranium following the nuclear accord with the P5+1 group of countries. Now speaking to local media, Ali Akbar Salehi said that Iran will receive a final batch of 149 tons of natural uranium by Tuesday. He added that the shipment will be in addition to 210 tons already delivered since early 2016. Salehi reiterated that the 359-ton imports will boost the country's uranium reserves by 60%. Under the nuclear accord known as a Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Iran's import of uranium is supervised by the International Atomic Energy Agency.
Well, Bill O'Reilly sat down with President Trump for the Super Bowl interview, and he did talk to him about that, but he also talked to him about Russia and Vladimir Putin. Listen to this.
Do you respect Putin?
I do respect him.
Do you? Why?
Well, I respect a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get along with him. He's a leader of his country. I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world, major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea.
He's a killer, though. Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
Vice President Mike Pence revealed President Donald Trump will use the next few months to decide on relieving sanctions on Russia in exchange for coordinating efforts against ISIS. Pence did commit to keeping the sanctions as long as Russia violates the ceasefire in Ukraine. Pence said, "If we have opportunities to work together, I think the president is looking for an opportunity to begin that relationship anew."
There's an old joke that Moses wandered the desert for 40 years to lead the people of Israel to the only state in the Middle East that didn't have any oil. Well, that might have been true right up until the discovery of some of the largest offshore reserves the world's ever seen that are now bringing in a fortune. Aaron, tell us the good news.
Well, it starts with Israeli Energy Minister Yuval Steinitz, who reported recently that the natural gas sales in 2016 amounted to an impressive $800 million.
Wow.
And we're just getting started because the Jewish state is now advancing a major deal to build a pipeline of so-called black gold to Italy, Greece, and Cyprus. A delegation headed by Turkey's energy ministry is also coming to Israel to finalize details on another pipeline to his country. Steinitz says the Israeli gas exports to Europe and elsewhere in the region will provide a huge diplomatic lever as well as a tremendous economic gain for the citizens of Israel in the future. He also says he has big plans to reduce Israeli energy dependence on coal from the 40% it is today to just 10%, so that one day the nation's needs will be met almost entirely by natural gas reservoirs in the Mediterranean.
No need to speak. Scientists have developed mind-reading technology that can read and communicate human thoughts. The breakthrough came in a successful experiment aimed at communicating with paralyzed patients.
A Swiss-led international team of scientists from the Wyss Center have constructed a form of mind reading by measuring blood oxygen levels and electrical activity in the brain. The brain-computer interface system was tested on 4 patients with locked-in syndrome, a severe form of paralyzation which prevents all body and eye movement, leaving no way for the conscious person inside to express themselves. Now, during the trial session, each patient was reportedly asked 200 questions and instructed to think yes or no. Researchers say the BCI machine recorded the patient's blood flow and calculated changes according to the answers given. Over time, the computer was able to develop a pattern and determine if the patient was thinking yes or no. Although patients were limited to 2 words, experts say this breakthrough opens the door for further mind-reading communication down the line.
It's been a weekend for rallies for most of the candidates with an eye on the French presidency. On the far left, Jean-Luc Mélenchon surprised his supporters by appearing live in Lyon while materializing at the same time in Paris in the form of a hologram.
Now to the brewing firestorm over what is already one of the most talked about Super Bowl ads of the night. Budweiser, known for creating some of the game's most popular commercials, facing calls for a boycott over the message in one of its spots.
The ad doesn't air until tonight.
Welcome to America.
But it's already ignited a backlash against a beer giant. It's a dramatic telling of one of Budweiser's founders and his struggles immigrating from Germany to America in the 1800s.
You don't want to hear. Go back home.
Anheuser-Busch is now in the middle of one of the country's most contentious issues, President Trump's travel ban. The hashtag boycott Budweiser has gotten tens of thousands of tweets. Sarah Palin is even sounding off that the politically charged message has Americans speechless. Thousands more are showing support. I don't even like beer, but I'm going to go buy 2 cases of Budweiser. Fans at the game are deeply divided.
I think it's ridiculous that people get upset about it. The country's founded on immigrants. We've got to keep politics away from sports.
Production of the ad began nearly a year ago, and it's costing Budweiser $10 million to air it during the Super Bowl. It's already been viewed 20 million times online and counting, showing controversy does get attention.
So we'll have to wait and see if it hurts Anheuser-Busch's bottom line. But the company says they didn't set out to be political here, and I quote, "We believe beer should be bipartisan."
That looks like Donald Trump.
7,500 cases of human trafficking were reported in 2016, according to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. That number is up from 5,526 in 2015. The hotline maintains a resource center for victims of trafficking and assembled statistics based on incoming reports and phone calls. California and Texas are again among the most grievous states for human trafficking. A majority of victims were trafficked through the course of domestic work or within hotel or motel-based employment, according to the report.
3 days of heavy snowfall triggered a series of avalanches in central and northeastern provinces of Afghanistan. Snow has buried 2 villages in Bagmatal district. Rescuers recovered at least 50 bodies from one village. They're still trying to reach the other. The minister in charge of disaster management says at least 150 homes have been destroyed.
In the last 72 hours, unfortunately, citizens have been killed, others have been injured, and homes have been completely destroyed due to the cold weather.
Rescue teams have been sent to help people who are trapped, but efforts are slow because heavy snow is blocking roads. The Afghan government says it's expecting more avalanches over the next 2 days.
So they've actually put a response team on standby to act upon and to have like ground support wherever needed. They are trying to connect the capital and the district center so that the response can be sooner.
The government declared Sunday a public holiday to deter non-essential travel and ensure schools were closed. It's asked UN rescue teams to be on standby in case it needs help reaching more people in remote areas. After 8 hours of continuous rain, this is what the city of Lambayeque in northern Peru looks like. People who live here say their lives have been turned upside down.
We have been flooded with water. The police station is flooded. All the houses are filled with water. We can't even work.
Forecasters say the rains have been fueled by unusually warm temperatures in the Pacific. The floods are happening months after the country was hit by a severe drought and wildfires. The Peruvian president is visiting affected areas. He's promising money to improve Peru's infrastructure in order to prevent future flooding.
We're declaring a state of emergency and there are funds to help. What we have to do further down the line is to make sure that all of Peru has paved roads and drainage, because the problem comes from these clay streets. When there's a lot of rain, they fill up.
In the town of Huaquipa in western Peru, 31-year-old Sonia Sanchez is exhausted and frustrated. It's the 3rd time her home has flooded. Her family's been forced to move into an emergency relief tent until their house is habitable again.
It all happened so fast. You can't imagine the despair we feel. The water came so quickly that we didn't have time to move anything away, and the house ended up like this.
The government has declared a 60-day state of emergency. At least 30,000 homes have been damaged and more than 800,000 people are short of clean drinking water.
In this remote village, images of dusty paddocks and flies buzzing over carcasses. And not far from here, a herder is watering his animals, trying to salvage what remains of his herd, as a devastating drought continues to displace thousands in several parts of Somalia and Ethiopia. These displaced families shelter under this tree near Banderbela, in the Puntland state of northeastern Somalia, after walking for days with their animals. More than 25,000 drought-affected persons have arrived here over the past months, some from Somaliland, Puntland, central Somalia, as well as pastoralists from neighboring Ethiopia. Several UN agencies are already warning that famine could soon be a reality in some of the worst drought-stricken regions of Somalia, with nearly 500,000 people, almost half of the country's population, already facing food insecurity. Somalia experienced the worst famine of the 21st century in 2011, affecting an estimated 4 million people. The famine resulted in the loss of more than 250,000 lives, and with Somalia's main focus on the upcoming presidential vote on 8 February, experts warn that the humanitarian situation in the East African nation might worsen in the coming days.
Finally tonight, America Strong, the story of a young nanny going to great lengths to help heal the little girl in her care.
16 months ago, when a baby named Talia was born to Farah and George Roscoe of Jackson, New Jersey, Kirsten Miles, then still a college student, had never heard of the Roscoes, but by chance, mutual friends got them in touch.
We interviewed her, we loved her, and she started watching our kids.
After which Kirsten learned two things. First, that she really liked little Talia.
I guess I just really had a strong connection with her, and after caring for her for such little time.
And second, that this toddler needed a liver transplant.
I already knew that my blood type was a match.
Which is when Kirsten said, "Take part of my liver," volunteering to be what is called a living donor, giving Talia part of her liver in a procedure that's performed more than 300 times a year in the U.S., and in which Kirsten learned when she researched it, recovery can be very tough on the donors, sometimes taking months. And yet,
if I didn't do anything and when something were to happen, I think it would have really killed me inside.
And so, just weeks ago, the surgery went ahead. And here they both are now. All signs very positive for both the donor and the recipient, who met by chance,
You're trying to get it off,
but now are connected for life and by life.